Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Podcast Room 303. Introducing one co-host with more nuggets than Chick-fil-A, Nick Morahan. Executive producer until we find someone better, Eric Washington. Nobody really knows what he does around here, Nevada Putnam. And now, the single greatest thing to happen to hosting in history, Jermaine Antonio Colon Mendez. On with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Podcast Room 303, episode 211. I'm your host, Jermaine Colon Mendez. This is my co-host. And as always, we have with us the EPE. On today's episode, we'll get into pop culture pick'em, top 5 siblings of all time, head-to-head update, batting average update, what the fuck headline of the week, and finally, the main topic of the show, NFC EAST futures. Without further ado, how are you doing this evening, Eric?
Doing good, man. Been a long time coming, but I was faithfully patient and waiting for Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott to sign, and I got them both to sign on the same day, so it's been a solid week, man. I'm not as stressed about fantasy anymore because of that. So pretty good week, man. I can't complain.
So for those of you who are unaware, Eric had both those players on his team, and he's a notorious stressor. He stresses for everything, and that was weighing on him heavily. It was hysterical to watch. Every day I would give him an update. Still haven't signed, just to see him slightly crumble in his chair. So the relief is here. He's all smiles for those of you on YouTube. Very rare, I know. Eric's smiling right now. But yeah, absolutely. They signed with the Jets and Patriots for Cook and Zeke respectively. So only to muddy those backfields further.
All it did was weaken my competition and make me stronger. So
okay.
Can't
all
complain.
right, that's an interesting way of looking at it. For those of you who may have noticed, Nick is not with us again. He's dead. We're not sure where he is. Somewhere in a ditch, probably. One too many Heineken zeros. Though, for those of you who don't know, those are non-alcoholic beers. He can't handle his liquor. But that's neither here nor there. He decided to duck yet another future show.
Bro,
and we're just going to get his picks all wrong.
I can't remember the character's name, but that little dude that's Thor's friend in the second Avengers, he's got like the South African accent, the little blue dude. I think that's what it is. When you were saying that, you obviously didn't have the accent, but you were using the cadence that he was using in those movies. It was actually pretty funny. If you'd have just hit it with the accent, it would have been perfect, bro.
I don't know if I have a New Zealand Taika Waititi accent, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep it pushing. I will hit you with one of these. Wakanda forever!
Oh, goodness, man.
So let's go into the batting average update. That's always the quickest of the show. So just give us the top 3 hitters currently.
So number 1 is Luis Arias, .363. 2 is Ronald Acuna Jr. at .338, and third is Freddie Freeman at .336. I know you're laughing at me because I can't say that fucker's name.
Just the fact you haven't looked it up yet, despite we're gonna say it every single week. You have not looked it up. You haven't practiced it, and it seems to be getting worse.
Arias, whatever, dude.
Yo, you said it differently all 3 times.
Who gives a shit what this dude's name is? He's not going to finish top of this list. I was doing some digging. I think Ronald Acuna is going to finish the season. I tried to look it up on DraftKings. There are no odds for it, but I was hoping there was. I was going to say Ronald Acuna wins the batting title, but then, it's not possible.
I'm pretty sure Luis Arias gives a fuck if we get his name right. So
Arias. That makes sense. Arias. Okay.
I've been saying that to you every episode.
I'm still going to butcher it, but Arias. I got it now. I got it now. Think tank now.
You are correct. You are still going to butcher it.
There's no fucking chance I don't butcher it.
All right, so let's do what the fuck headline, and then obviously we'll share the spreadsheet after that for the
What the fuck headline? That one is definitely interesting this week. Got to put a little chill in my, in my bones. I don't know. So I don't know if you guys can see this. If you guys watching it on YouTube, it says Chinese military says it's figured out how to build laser weapons that can fire indefinitely. Jermaine, you want to elaborate here?
Yeah. So this article goes in. We should probably start sharing these articles on our. Anyways, neither here nor there. This article goes into the Chinese military was able to figure out a way to use the gas that was produced in the conduction of the laser to shoot back into the chamber and cool the laser down, which should indefinitely allow you to fire your laser weapon. So for those of you who are unsure or not familiar with how indefinitely is used, that's continuous. So it's infinite ammo, right? It's the hack that all of us wish we had in any video game we've played where we need to use ammo. See Eric in Remnant 2 still cannot figure out the reloading speed. So
no, I figured it out. It's just goddamn slow. It's the makers of the game, man. Like, you know what? That's a whole different subject. I'm not going to let you rile me up. We're just going to move on. We're just going to move on from Remnant 2.
Okay. Yeah, and so the article briefly discusses what they reported for the findings. Now, I will say you always take these things with a grain of salt because until, proven, right, until we have proof of their successes in science, you always take it with a grain of salt. And it is incredibly scary perspective due to the nature of what laser weapons can be used for. Also, your ships and assets and aircraft, etc., can be that much lighter because they don't have to carry the physical ammunition, right? So it can just be equipped with a laser that obviously can amass significant damage. This is one of the reasons why lasers have not been widely leveraged in combat. So it is a very fascinating development. I thought it was a pretty terrifying perspective, but the human race is nothing if not elite at finding new ways to kill each other.
Well, so it's terrifying when you read that, but the first thought I had was, holy shit, we're gonna have laser warfare. Like all of our fucking childhood dreams are coming true, right? Not that we all dreamed of warfare, but laser weapons, you know what I mean? And the second thought I had, laser swords. True, yes, true. No, but if you could have had a blaster when you were a kid, you would have loved to have a blaster.
Bro, no disrespect, but when Han Solo used a blaster, it was a little underwhelming compared to when Homeboy would just walk up to a fleet of enemies and go, like, come on now.
True. But the second thought I had was China's been full of shit and a lot of other stuff in the past. So I think this is just a ploy for them to put fear in our hearts because they're scared if they fuck with us, like it's a rap. You know what I mean? We all saw Oppenheimer. We know what happens.
Yeah. I mean, if you seem awfully confident, so that is there. Go ahead.
And also, anybody who felt bad after watching Oppenheimer, for any reason, if you had a little bit of shame or guilt, just go watch Pearl Harbor right after. It's a long movie, but if you watch that, you'll feel perfectly fine after. I watched Pearl Harbor this week and I felt no bad feelings after Oppenheimer anymore. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you could have bad feelings from, the perspective of loss of life, but it's action begets action. There's no justification, but
listen,
action, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
100%. But as the kids would say, they fucked around and found out, bro.
Oh, yeah, but the kids are also dumb as fuck. Have you tried talking to them lately?
Dude, unfortunately, I have a couple on my team at work that I have to deal with. And
the education system is being indicted on the daily. Let's go ahead and share our spreadsheet and get into head-to-head for this year. We had an individual go 0-3. We had 2 1-2s and someone actually above 500. Talk about rare.
So last week 31, Jermaine went 1-2, putting him at 34-53 on the season. down 16.5 units. Nick went 2-1, putting him at, let me see here, it was 34 and 51 and 2. And he was up 2 units, which has changed, or 2.7 units, or no, actually, I'm sorry, he was up 2 units, which has changed this week because of some current bets. I went 1-2 last week, putting me at 34 and 53, down 7.5 units, and Nevada went 0-3, putting him at a 4-game losing streak, 31, 52 and 1 on the season, down 5.3 units.
Yeah, it's getting rough and even more rough, but we'd like to advise you to subscribe to Podcast Motto, right? Fade us. Also, we're starting to throw big parlays and just big ticket results at it to try to get the units back up. So it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and get into the top 5 siblings of all time, which is today's pop culture pick'em topic. I have first pick. Eric has second pick. And without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Are you ready, Eric?
Yes, sir.
I'll take Travis and Jason Kelce.
Dude.
Let's go!
Time out.
Let's go see if I had first pick to specifically take this one, dog.
That's just like that's not even necessary, dude. Like
hit him with the move.
You have no love in your heart for either two of those men. Come on now.
I just argued with you that I thought Jason Kelce was the best Eagle last year over Jalen Hurts, which also I owe you an apology. I think I was completely full of shit on that one. Jalen Hurts was the correct answer for the top 10.
I will say Jason Kelce probably is a top 5 Eagle of all time. Now that he's on the twilight years of his career with the Super Bowl win and everything he's done, I will say he's a top 5 Eagle though.
Yeah, we were just arguing in the context of NFL Top 100, so I owe a retraction. I just don't think offensive linemen get enough love, but Jalen Hurts deserved to be in the top 10. I just think Jason Kelce should have been in there as well.
I 100% agree. I think Lane Johnson, Jason Kelce.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
You don't think Lane Johnson was a top 10?
Last year in the National Football League, he was a top 10 player in the entire National Football League. Lane Johnson was a top 10.
Yes, 0 sacks allowed, 0 QB pressures allowed. I want to hear it,
dude. Come on,
I want to hear it.
All right.
I want to hear it.
Stop.
I know he plays on the weak side, but still,
I'm just like, come on now. If you took the best player at every position,
Lane Johnson's the best right tackle in football, hands down.
No,
100%.
He didn't even play every game last year.
He missed like 4 with a torn ball sack. Like,
all right, well then don't tear your ball sack if you want to be the best.
All right, well now that
for the listeners out there. Word of advice: if you want to be the best, don't tear your ball sack.
Yeah, that's great advice. Goddamn asshole. Now that you've stolen my fucking number one, clearly my number one pick was gonna be. I'm gonna take Ben and Casey Affleck with my first pick because those dudes make nothing but Heat movies, and then I'm gonna go ahead and turn around and take all the Manning siblings. So I guess I'll just put the Mannings.
Isn't that a TV show from the 70s? Couldn't resist, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and try introduce some triplets into the discussion. I will take Arthur, John, and Chandler Jones. I mean, pedigree of winning. Chandler Jones is one of the most slept on edge rushers in all of football. Overrated. Chandler Jones is overrated,
in my opinion.
Nobody ever talks about him, and he just gets you double-digit sacks every year.
Overrated. He's the worst of his brothers.
You're such a hater. And no, Arthur's worse.
No, he's a Super Bowl champ. Oh wait, actually, Chandler's a Super Bowl champ too.
Is Chandler? Oh, with
Patriots.
Did Chandler win?
Patriots, yeah.
Are you sure?
I think so.
We'll have to double check that out. And then I'll take Liam, Chris, and Ashley Hemsworth.
Your other brother's name is Ashley?
Yeah, he's actually in Westworld. He played the security guard in the first season. The dude who's like in charge of security of Westworld.
Okay.
Can you just look at your computer in front of me and then go to Google and then type in?
Oh yeah, that's what you want me to do.
Ashley Hemsworth.
No, I'm not doing it now. Now you said it like that,
bro. You know who he is. That's why I'm like.
I know. I'm actually just trying to like I'm like trying to fumble fuck through here because I can't like think of any more siblings. You just got me flustered by stealing Jason and them from me, dude.
I know. I was so happy I was the first pick for this topic because I knew I could instantly one pick, and I was like, I'm gonna full tilt Eric, and then the rest of this is mine, dude.
It's just absolute trash, dude. Like I don't even care about the rest of this list. Like it's fucking dumb. I'm just gonna go with the Jonas Brothers because they make hits.
I don't disagree. That's just fun. That's just a funny pick, bro.
And then seems like we've all been going male heavy here, so I'm gonna add Venus and Serena.
Yeah, I was looking up like women siblings, and just none of them were like. They're not making my top 5 list. No disrespect.
It's always one of like so it was like the Rooney the Rooney sisters.
Yeah,
like one of them's like really cool and really hot, and the other one sucks. Like you know what I mean? Like so it's like you can't pick them.
Yeah, there was like Zoe and her God,
and her not famous sister.
Yeah, what's her sister's name though? You know, and then what is it? The mom from the Cosby Show. Her and her sister.
Oh, so speaking of, you know who I saw on the list because I googled the list. Do you remember when you and Nick made me sit down and watch that movie that musical with Tom Cruise?
We didn't make you watch it. You watched it of your own volition, sir.
No, because you guys were like, you should really watch it. So I watched it on the plane flight back from Japan. Remember that?
Yeah, Rock of Ages.
Yeah, so Julianne Ho, or whatever her name is.
Yo, time out. Yo, you can't just call it yo.
No, it's her name. Hough. How would you spell that? Hugh? Ho?
That's also no, that's not Ho. That would be Huff.
Oh, well, her and her brother
tough,
are super
rough.
Famous. Yeah, that makes sense. Juliana Huff. Ooh. I like Ho better.
Yeah, of course you like Ho better. I don't actually. Who's her brother?
His name's Derek Ho.
It's Huff.
You
just learned. You just try to slip Ho into this podcast as many times as you can. Oh, that's good, bro. No, that doesn't sound familiar to me at all. Is he like her brother was a Dancing with Stars guy, right?
I believe he is. Yes, actually. Let me look it up.
I think my mom told me that actually because she loves Dancing with Stars.
Yeah, he's a Dancing with the Stars kid.
Boom! Deep pull. Shout out Mama Mendez, bro.
What up?
And then so it's my pick, right?
Yeah, you got the last 2 picks here.
All right, then I'm gonna round it out with just absolute dominant hoopers. Give me Steph and Seth Curry, and Pau and Marc Gasol. Shout out Pau Gasol for getting into the Hall of Fame. Well, not getting into, but for being inducted this past weekend.
Yeah, shout out. And I'll close this out with the Wahlbergs.
Yeah, that's a good pick. So honorable mention for me, I had Marquise and Mike Pouncey. I love that reaction. And then I had Jose, Benji, and Yachty, the Molinas.
Only one's really that good.
And then I had Owen and Luke Wilson.
They have a third brother too. I just read an article. I didn't know that shit until right now.
Who? Patrick?
His name's I don't know. I already closed the article and I'm not gonna go look it up. But there's a third Wilson brother apparently.
Nah, if I don't know him, he don't count.
Hey, that works for me, dude.
All right, go ahead and read the less backs, and we can go ahead and push into the next topic.
Yeah, so top 5 siblings of all time. Jermaine stole the Kelsey brothers from me. Arthur, Sean, and Chandler Jones.
Yeah, buddy.
Liam, Chris, and Ashley Hemsworth. Steph and Seth Curry. And Pau and Marc Gasol. I had Ben and Casey Affleck. The Manning brothers, the Jonas brothers, Venus and Serena, and the Wahlbergs being Donnie and Mark.
Yeah, that Venus and Serena pick was fire, but I was never I liked rooting against them because they were so dominant. You know what I mean? Like
there was no rooting against those sisters in my house for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I loved when they won, but it's like I like to root against dynasties, bro. Like I rooted against the Patriots, I rooted against the Warriors, I rooted against the Heat, even though they only won 2 titles.
very rarely have I heard my dad use the term black excellence. Like, honestly, like, it's not something he just throws around, but he definitely used it in terms of Serena and Venus when they were younger.
Yeah, they were. Serena's so good. Serena's so good. Venus is also very good. She's just not the GOAT. That's the only difference. She's just not the greatest ever. That's like the slight difference. But she's better than most. I wonder where tennis pundits rank her.
I'd say top 20 all time.
Top 20 all time feels easy.
Yeah.
I was just curious if she cracks the top 10. I
She
don't know
might.
a ton of women. I know the obvious ones, but I don't know enough women tennis players to.
That's what I was going to say. Like, if you were asking me, she's top 5. But that's because I know about 6 female tennis players.
Yeah, I just know all the good ones. So
yeah, all the ones that won major chips and shit.
It's all the ones that everyone always talks about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially like when they are talking about Serena, they're talking about those as well. But
yep.
I might say she might be top 10. That's pretty curious. I'd have to go. I might look that up.
I wouldn't argue it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for sure not. I actually want her to be the top 10, but yeah, that's curious. Anyways, so that wraps up our head-to-head, and that wraps up the opening salvo of the pod. Let's go ahead and get into the actual betting portion of this. As we said before, we're doing NFC East. Nick's not with us. We'll reveal Nick's choices after we go through mine, and then Eric's is on there somewhere, but he never reveals them because he doesn't want people to know how wrong he is at the end of the year.
I just put mine on the graphics on the IG. If we included my picks on air, each episode would be an extra hour. So
not if they're already determined.
That's true. Mine are here. We could, for this division, maybe I'll splurge.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Let's see, where are we at? We're doing NFC East. You want to go ahead and division breakdown last year. The division finished: Philadelphia Eagles first, 14-3; Dallas Cowboys second, 12-5; New York Giants third, 9-7-1; and the Washington Commanders 8-8-1 at fourth, finishing exactly 500. So just an average football team. It is pretty interesting. The Eagles have repeated as division winners the last 2 years, or is that incorrect?
No, we haven't had a repeat winner in 19 seasons, I think it is.
Oh, so is this the year?
To me, it is. But again, you see the flag hanging behind me. I'm biased as fuck.
Yeah. So go ahead and give us the odds for the Eagles, and then we'll move into the rest of the portion.
Yeah, so Eagles Super Bowl odds plus 650. They are the second favorites to win the division minus 135. To make the playoffs, minus 425. To not make the playoffs, plus 340. And their line has been set at 11.5.
11.5. Okay, that's a nice, big, juicy number. So the Eagles this offseason lost quarterback Gardner Minshew, running back Miles Sanders, wide receiver Zach Pascal, tackle Andre Dillard, guard Isaac Seumalo, edge Robert Quinn, D lineman Javon Hargrave, Linval Joseph, and Ndamukong Suh, linebackers TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps, as well as punter Brett Kern. They re-signed Jalen Hurts to what is an exorbitant amount of money that I will never understand. And they brought in quarterback Marcus Mariota, added running backs Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift, wide receiver Alameda Zaccheaus, tight end Dan Arnold, center Jason Kelsey was re-signed, D lineman Fletcher Cox was re-signed, edge Brandon Graham and Contavious Street were re-signed, linebacker Nicholas Morrow was added, cornerbacks James Bradbury, Darius Slay were both re-signed, and they added cornerback Greedy Williams. They also added safety Terrell Edmonds and Justin Evans.
Oh, and they just brought in Miles Jack, which I forgot to update.
Miles Jack, and there was another linebacker that signed, correct?
No, they're trying to sign another one, but Miles Jack's the only one that signed this week.
I remember reading an article that said 2 signed. It was Miles Jack and someone else who was also kind of good. Anyways, it means that person just didn't sign. So in the draft, the Eagles added in round 1 Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia, Nolan Smith, edge out of Georgia. In the 3rd round, they had Tyler Steen, tackle out of Alabama, and Sidney Brown, safety out of Illinois. In the 4th round, they added Keely Ringo, cornerback also out of Georgia. In round 6, they added Tanner McKee, quarterback out of Stanford. And in round 7, they added Moro Ojomo, defensive tackle out of Texas. So that takes us into the schedule. Do you have the schedule up, or you want me to?
I got it pulled up. So they open on the road at New England, at home against Minnesota, away versus Tampa Bay, at home versus the Commanders. Back-to-back road games, the Rams and the Jets, at home versus Miami, away for the Commanders. At home for Dallas, week 10 bye, 11 at Kansas City, home versus Buffalo, home versus San Francisco, back-to-back away games, Dallas and Seattle, at home versus the Giants, at home versus the Cardinals, and to close out the season away at the New York Giants.
My goodness. How did they get that schedule? That feels like a pretty favorable schedule.
Well, I mean, they got, I don't know, I guess the NFC or the AFC East is going to be tough with Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets. Our division is always tough. And then we got, first place last year was what, Seattle and
Minnesota.
We're playing that whole division. So it's Minnesota and Tampa Bay. Was Tampa Bay first last year?
Tampa Bay made the playoffs, remember?
Yep. So Tampa and Minnesota are two non-conference teams that were playing that were first last year. So it looks like a tough schedule to me. It's not the hardest out there, but it's a tough schedule.
Tampa Bay and Minnesota are also in the same conference, by the way, brother. You said non-conference.
Or you know what I meant, dude. Non-division,
Dude, book me over. Book me over. Over 11.5 wins. I see this team winning 12 easy, if not repeating the 14-3 finish, locking up that 1 seed relatively early, and are able to rest key players going into the postseason. Yes, they will win the division. And the NFC is weak this year, especially if people are talking about the Saints as a contender. So I'm probably going to sprinkle a little scratch as well on the plus 650 Super Bowl odds.
I'm here for it. I love it.
And I just feel like, I don't see where this team necessarily got worse.
So
and go ahead.
So I'm going to try to give a non-biased, honest opinion here. We lost Javon Hargrave, which is huge. Now I know we replaced him with probably the best draft pick in the draft, but he's still a rookie. We lost our 2 starting linebackers, and our best safety who had 8 interceptions last year. We replaced everybody, but I think there's going to be an adjustment period. And I think safety and linebacker play will be a little shaky at first, but I still do think we win 13, 14 games. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, Javon Hargrave is a big loss, but you kept Fletcher Cox and you added Jalen Carter. And let's not forget that the rookie, just all-pro run stopper who played 30% of snaps for the Eagles last year and now has a season under his belt.
And fully healthy finally.
Yeah, exactly. So let's not act like they also have the linebacker that they took from Georgia last year who had the
also
neck
fully
issue.
Healthy. Pectoral. It was a pectoral.
And so, I get it. They did lose. Maybe safety's an issue, but if you're leading the league in sacks again and you're breathing down people's throats, of course Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's going to be able to get 8 interceptions. So it'll be interesting to see. Not often do I want to run it back with his team, but I think the way they structured everything and the way they added talent, to the fringes and kept the core in place, not to mention Dallas Goedert's healthy again. Devonta and AJ have another year in the system, and they added 2 running backs that more than enough make up for the departure of Miles Sanders, in my opinion. Still have Jalen Hurts. Also, Jalen Hurts levels up as a passer this year.
I'm here for all of that. I know he had a great season, but leveling up is oof.
They'll play closer games, right? And that's the thing with Jalen Hurts, right? Everyone's just like, it's myself included. He had 22 touchdowns last year.
6 interceptions.
And so this year they're probably going to have him throw some more, right? I know that the Eagles don't want to, but they'll probably be in closer games. And so in those games, Jalen Hurts will have to throw. And we saw what Jalen Hurts did in the Super Bowl when I don't think Jalen Hurts was 100% in the Super Bowl. So for those of you who don't think he can't level up passing wise, you might be in for a rude awakening. So Jalen Hurts has something more that he can unlock. And so that's a scary premise in its own right. I'll take the best quarterback in this division. I'll take the best defense in this division. I know that the next team we'll talk about has something to say about that. But yeah, I'm going to go with them as they ride through that. So, and let's go ahead and get to the next team, Eric. Give us the odds.
All right. So Dallas, Super Bowl odds plus 1,400 to win the division plus 190, to make the playoffs minus 215, to miss the playoffs plus 185. And their line was set at 9.5.
9.5. Ooh, that's a pretty good line. I might go over on that too. All right, let's get into the departures, additions, and the draft for the Dallas Cowboys. Some of the notable players they had depart: running back Ezekiel Elliott, wide receiver Noah Brown and T.Y. Wilton, tight end Dalton Schultz, offensive tackle Jason Peters, go Birds, guard Connor McGovern, D lineman Carlos Watkins, linebacker Anthony Barr, cornerback Anthony Brown, long snapper Jake McQuaid, and Matt Overton. They had 2 long snappers leave. And kicker Brett Maher. They're real weak at long snapper this year, bro. They added running back Ronald Jones, wide receiver Brandon Cooks, edge Dante Fowler Jr., D lineman Jonathan Hankins, linebacker Leighton Vander Esch was re-signed, Stephon Gilmore was added in the cornerback, and safety Donovan Wilson. In the draft, they added Mozzie Smith, D tackle out of Michigan in the first round. In the second round, they added Luke Schoonmaker, tight end out of Michigan. In the third round, they shout out Hookem, DeMarvion Overshown, linebacker, Texas. Round 4, Villami Fioco, edge, San Jose State. Round 5, Asim Richards, tackle out of North Carolina. Evan Hull, that's incorrect. Evan Hull is with the Colts. So sorry, getting tripped up here. Round 6, Eric Scott Jr., cornerback out of Southern Mississippi, Deuce Vaughn, running back, Kansas State, and then Jalen Brooks, wide receiver, South Carolina. Let's go ahead and get into that schedule, Eric.
Yeah, so they open on the road against the Giants, week 2 at home against the Jets, away against the Cardinals, at home against New England, back-to-back road games, San Francisco and the Los Angeles Chargers. They have their week 7 bye. Coming out of the bye, they have the Rams at home, away at the Eagles, home for the Giants, away against the Panthers, home for the Commanders, home for Seattle, home for Philly. Back-to-back away games, Buffalo and Miami, at home for Detroit, and they close out the season on the road in Washington against the Commanders.
That's a hell of a little 6-game stretch they got there. Seattle, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit, and then the Commanders, who I think are going to be game again this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of divisions. You know, you think about the AFC North, you think about the NFC West, NFC East. It's just when they play, it's just going to be a bloodbath. Like, even no matter how talented the teams are.
Niners, Chargers. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. I just don't think Dallas is as good as Philadelphia. So that's a pretty tough schedule for that team. So 9.5 is the win total. I do think they hit that though. So I'm going to go
10. I think they go 10-7.
I'm going over for sure on the win total. I think I still think they're a very talented football team. I think the departure of Kellen Moore is not something that's talked about enough, considering this team went from last year they were the number 4 offense, and the year before they were the number 1 offense. Then they let Kellen Moore go, and they say they want to run the football more, but then they trade for Brandon Cooks. Michael Gallup's another year removed from
ACL.
From the ACL injury.
Yeah.
And then they get rid of Zeke and they replace him with diminutive dynamo, Deuce Vaughn, right? Who's kind of a darling because he's 5'6". And, I I'm not saying that that's a bad pick by any means. Deuce Vaughn is very interesting. I wish the kid the best. He seems like if he is as good as everyone says it is, and the jury's still out, he has Darren Sproles vibes.
See, I want to put a pause to that.
You think too highly of Darren Sproles, my guy. I'm promising.
No. I'm just saying, like, yes, he's a small running back, and yes, he's built like Darren Sproles. But dude, don't just let's just wait and see what the kid does before we start tossing that name around. Because Darren Sproles was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, that's why he's being compared to him. Because the plays pop like Darren Sproles.
We'll see.
Yeah, you're just being combative because he's a Cowboy. If he wasn't a Cowboy, you wouldn't be this upset about it.
I'm assuming you got the Cowboys in the playoffs, but
I do have the Cowboys in the playoffs. Yes. Obviously, no on the division winner. Obviously, hell no on winning the Super Bowl. I don't think this team's got it. And this is going to be an interesting year for Dak Prescott as a whole. I think Dak Prescott has 2 years remaining on his contract, right? His $160 million contract. And the way these quarterback contracts are going and the way his age is going, the way his interceptions and fumbles were trending based off last year. Let me get another year's sample size. I don't know if the Cowboys are in the market to re-sign Dak Prescott. So that puts them at an interesting precipice this year and the following. McCarthy's on the hot seat for me, personally.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't make a deep playoff run with this good a defense and this much talent on offense, especially if the offense takes a step back with Kellen Moore departing for the Los Angeles Chargers, this could have potential make or break for the Cowboys.
I hope this is the season that kills Jerry Jones.
I think you might be there with a lot of people who want that guy gone. But Jerry Jones leaving is the worst thing for you as an Eagles fan, though.
No. I get that once he's there and he's not there to fuck shit up, like things could turn around for them. But my ultimate goal is just to see that man pass without him winning another one. Like, I know that's all he wants in life, and I just don't want him to get that.
God, that's incredibly spiteful.
And?
You just wish death on someone.
No, I said I hope he doesn't win one before he dies. I don't care when he dies, as long as he doesn't win one before he dies. He can live another 100 years for all I give a shit, as long as the Cowboys don't win another Super Bowl.
You just said this is the year that puts him under. That was what you opened.
I mean, I really think he has. I think that there's energy coming out of Cowboys camp. There's an energy coming off of Cowboy fans. They genuinely believe Dak isn't the piece of shit quarterback that he is. They do have an amazing defense. You can't deny that. And they have talent on the offense. So I see the hope. I see the belief, but I just don't think it's going to pan out, man.
It's a good football team.
They are.
It really is. Ironically enough, my concern for them on offense is running back.
Yeah.
Right?
And running back, because the O-line still – I mean, I know they just re-signed Zach finally, but that's still a shaky O-line, which is where you win football games. It's where you win in the run game. And Dak still is going to be throwing picks.
Yeah, we'll see. If they really do run the ball more, there's obviously less opportunity for Dak to throw interceptions. And, the issue with some of Dak's interceptions last year was because you can explain some interceptions, right? Like tipped passes or, maybe a defender just made an absolute elite play. But a majority of his interceptions were I mean, what were you looking at, big fella? And then, he's running for his life behind the line of scrimmage, and he's fumbling the rock too much. So it's just you can't throw interceptions and fumble the football. You got to pick one.
Yeah.
And, so it's an interesting year for, the trajectory of the next 5 for the Dallas Cowboys. And so I do think this is kind of make or break. They need at least one playoff win. I mean, when's the last time they won a playoff game? It's not that long. It's fairly recently. No, they got beat by San Francisco, didn't they?
Wasn't that the second round? Because everybody was talking about an Eagles-Cowboys NFC Championship and how crazy that would have been. And I was like, the Cowboys aren't going to win.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. If they did win last year, then I owe the Cowboys fans an apology. So, so Minnesota played the Giants.
I mean, I could just look it up real quick.
Right? You had a bye.
Yep.
San Francisco played. Who was so Bucks played. Bucks played the Cowboys. Buccaneers played the Cowboys, or was
it was opening round. Dallas versus Tampa, Dallas won. Seattle versus San Francisco won, and then New York Giants versus Minnesota, the Giants won. Second round was Dallas, San Francisco won. Philly beat the shit out of New York, and then Philly beat the shit out of San Francisco, and then we got asses whooped in the Super Bowl.
You didn't get your asses whooped. What are you talking about?
Well, we lost by 3.
Also, does beating Tampa Bay last year really count as a playoff win?
For Dallas? Not really. No.
You guys handled business.
And then they only put up 12 points against it. Well, okay, hold on. Let me backtrack. San Francisco does have an amazing defense, so I can't knock them for only putting up 12 points.
San Francisco's a good fucking football team.
Yeah,
so.
Even though we put up 31 on them. But what?
San Francisco fans have a bone to pick with you on that with the Brock Purdy entry.
Let me ask you a question, and we won't get into too much. What's their issue? What's the issue? We would have won if we had our quarterback. 1, it was 31-7 was the final score. 2, you had 2 quarterbacks go in there and get knocked on their ass, get knocked out of the game. It's not because your quarterback wasn't playing. It's because you couldn't protect your quarterback and get your offense going.
I think that would have been a close game if Brock Purdy played the whole time. They were moving the ball on that defense.
If you want Brock Purdy to play, protect him.
Okay, nobody's saying that. But for you to say that they don't have a leg to stand on when their quarterback was obviously eating that defense, that vaunted Philly defense. So let's relax.
Eating them for what, 7 points?
Brock Purdy got bounced in the first quarter, dog.
All right. Well, he wasn't eating us.
He was definitely throwing the football on you guys. You guys were barely stopping that offense.
Right, we'll agree to disagree. We'll move on.
Of course, you're not going to agree with that.
We'll move on to the New York
Giants were 9-7-1 last year, 3rd place. Give us the odds, Eric.
Super Bowl odds. Not even going to say them because it's not going to happen. To win in the division, plus 900. To make the playoffs, plus 160. To miss the playoffs, minus 190, and their line is 7.5.
All right, so some of the departures they had last year is wide receiver Kenny Golladay and Richie James and Marcus Johnson. They lost guard John Feliciano, center Nick Gates, D lineman Nick Williams, linebacker Jalen Smith, cornerback Fabian Moreau, safeties Landon Collins and Tony Jefferson, and Julian Love. They re-signed Daniel Jones to a 4-year, $160 million deal. Dang, he got the Dak Prescott deal?
Yeah.
Running back Saquon Barkley was franchise tagged. Matt Breida. They added wide receivers Paris Campbell, Jamison Crowder, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and tight end Darren Waller. They added edge Jaheed Ward. D linemen Rakeem Nunez Roches. D lineman Ashawn Robinson. D tackle Dexter Lawrence. Linebackers Gerard Davis, Bobby Okereke, O'Shane Jimenez, Amani Oruwari at cornerback, and safety Bobby McCain, punter Jamie Gillian, and long snapper Casey Kreider. In the draft, the New York Giants added Deontay Banks, cornerback out of Maryland, John Michael Schmitz, center out of Minnesota in the 2nd. In the 3rd, Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver, Tennessee. In the 5th, Eric Gray, running back, Oklahoma. In the 6th, Trey Hawkins, safety, Old Dominion. In the 7th, Jordan Riley, D tackle, Oregon. And as well as Gervarius Owens, safety out of Houston. You want to get into the schedule?
Yeah, so Giants open up at home against Dallas, back-to-back road games, Arizona, San Francisco, at home versus Seattle, back-to-back games, back-to-back away games, Miami, Buffalo, back-to-back home games, Washington, New York, 3 road games, Las Vegas, Dallas, Washington, home against New England, week 13 bye, home against Green Bay, back-to-back away games, New Orleans, Philadelphia, back-to-back home games, Rams, Philadelphia. It's crazy.
Yeah. It feels like a pretty brutal schedule as well for them.
Yeah, I mean that. Well, I was gonna say that three road game stretch, but it's Vegas, Dallas, Washington. They can get 2 wins there. Lucky bastards.
Vegas, Dallas, Washington. You think they can get three wins there?
No, I said 2 wins. They'll probably lose to Dallas.
Yeah, that's 2 divisional opponents back to back on the road. That's not fun. Not fun. Okay, so the let's see, where are we at? So I got to pick their order, huh? Here's the thing. So I have 2 teams left to pick to make the playoffs. Right? So obviously that's one division winner from the NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
But do I think a third team also makes it out of this division this year? And the line is at 7.5. Fascinating. I don't know what I want to go with. I think I'm taking the over on the win total and a no on makes the playoffs. And then, obviously no on the other 2. Yep. So
obviously.
I think they could get 8 wins, especially looking at this. And I think the addition of Darren Waller is one of the more slept on additions of this. Saquon Barkley is in tow, so he's ready to play the season again. Daniel Jones is much, much better when he plays the field. Darren Waller gives them an actual option, a number 1 option. And, all hinging on whether or not he stays healthy. The defense is going to get better, right? Which was something that struggled last year. Offensive line play is getting better as well. And then it's another year under Brian Daboll, who I think is a fantastic coach. And Daniel Jones, if they can fix his consistency, right? So if you can get the same Daniel Jones week to week, not necessarily has to be peak Daniel Jones where you see him go for ends up with 4 touchdowns, 300 all-purpose yards, like not like that. But if you can just get consistent performances out of him where you know what you're getting out of your quarterback, and that also requires getting consistent performances out of your wide receivers. Because he had no one to throw the goddamn ball to last year. I mean, the separation was slim to none. Isaiah Hodgins is a revelation. Sterling Shepard, what is this, his 17th ACL or Achilles tear he's coming back from? Wan'Dale Robinson's coming back from an ACL tear as well. It seems like every player they have is a slot wide receiver. They added some speed with Jalen Hyatt. Darius Slayton and Daniel Jones have always had a good rapport, but it never seems to develop into anything further because the Giants hate Darius Slayton. So it is a very interesting situation with the Giants here moving forward. I think they're going to be a middle of the pack team. They're not going to be a team that you necessarily are afraid of, but it's a team that you also don't want to play, right? So if the right Giants show up, you can end up losing that game.
Yeah.
And I could be saying all this, and then they end up with a top 5 pick, which is in their ROC, right? Their range of outcomes. What an interesting team the New York Giants are. You got any thoughts on this team?
I think if they use Daniel Jones properly, they can be scary. They do have to make some leaps on the defensive side of the ball. But Kayvon Thibodeau, second year for him? Right.
Oh, and he was good last year.
And he was good.
He was hurt at the beginning of it too.
Yeah. So I mean, I expect a jump there, and we've seen in this league if you can get to the quarterback, you can change the outcome of games. So hopefully it's not hopefully fuck the Giants, but I think they're gonna have an improved defense, and I think it really just all comes down to because I feel like Daniel Jones, and I might catch some heat for saying this. But he's similar in the sense of Josh Allen, where they need to let him have the freedom to get out of that pocket and scramble and make shit happen. Like I know he's not. I don't know. If he's a big body, he's got a strong arm. Just let him go out there and run. He got an 80-yard touchdown against the Eagles one season. We know he can fucking do it. So
look, Daniel Jones has wheels, right? Whether or not people want to admit it or not, he gets out and moves outside. And that was a point I was getting ready to make. Some designed runs with him would be fantastic. A read option with Darren Waller coming from the backside to be an option, right? To pitch to his left, Saquon running wide out right, and Daniel Jones in the middle. I think you sprinkle 2, 3, 4 of those plays into a game. Maybe that's too many, but you sprinkle a few of those, and you could really present a dynamic option for this team. I do think Darren Waller is a bigger deal than we want to lead on to. I think he's actually a fantastic football player, and if he stays healthy, he could be in for a hell of a season, and
probably the leading receiver.
And I think without a doubt he's their leading receiver, because if you go look at that wide receiver room, which I just named, right? Like who the fuck is going to lead that team from there? Like, yeah. So I think the Giants are going to be an exciting team to watch, just like they were last year. So I'm on board. I think interested to see where it goes. Go ahead.
I think the thing that hurts them the most is schedule. I mean, they have Dallas twice, San Francisco, the Jets, who are they have Super Bowl expectations. Miami, Seattle, Philly twice. Nobody's talking about fucking. Oh wait, no, they don't play Chicago. That's a different one. But that I mean, they have a lot of tough games, and I think that's what's going to hurt them. Is if they had a little bit of an easier schedule, they might win like 9 games. But I don't know. I think they finished around 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's just the thing is, there's like you look at games and you're like, which one do they for sure win on this list? And you really only have one. It's the Cardinals. Every other one, I could be convinced the other way.
Yeah, very true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe the Rams in week 16, but we could be talking differently about the Rams in week 16. And everyone's just like, how did we doubt Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp and the 2 years removed Super Bowl champions? They're here to play. You know what I mean? We could easily be saying that. We're probably not.
We could, but a lot of the stuff coming out of that camp is they're about to have a fire sale. So we'll see.
Yeah, we never know. You can't trust camp reports.
You can't, true.
Because if you do, Deuce Vaughn is the best running back in the league right now. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the very last team in this division. Last year's 8-1, 4th place Washington Commanders. Oh, so close to making the playoffs.
Oh, so very close. To win the division, plus 1,600. To make the playoffs, plus 300. To miss the playoffs is minus 370. And their line is set at 6.5.
Yep. So you have the Washington Commanders. They lost quarterbacks Tyler Heineke and Carson Wentz, running back J.D. McKissick, wide receiver Cam Sims, guards Wes Schweitzer, Trey Turner, center Nick Martin and Chase Rollier, linebacker John Bostic and Cole Holcomb, and safety Bobby McCain. In free agency, they added quarterback Jacoby Brissett, tackles Andrew Wiley and Trenton Scott, O-lineman Nick Gates, center Tyler Larson, D-linemans Abdullah Anderson and Deron Payne. Oh, he was re-signed. Edge Effie Obata, linebacker Cody Barton and David Mayo, and cornerbacks Cameron Dantzler and Danny Johnson. In the draft, they added Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback Mississippi State in round 1, Jartavius Martin, cornerback out of Maryland, round 2, Ricky Stormberg, center out of Arkansas in round 3, Braden Daniels, tackle out of Utah in round 4, KJ Henry, edge out of Clemson in round 5, Chris Rodriguez Jr., running back Kentucky out of round 6, and Andre Jones, linebacker Louisiana in round 7.
So going into Washington's schedule, they open up at home against Arizona, on the road against Denver, at home against Buffalo, on the road Philadelphia, home Chicago, back-to-back away games Atlanta, New York, home versus Philadelphia, back-to-back away games New England, Seattle, at home for the New York Giants, away for Dallas, at home for the Dolphins, week 14 bye week, away for Los Angeles Rams, away for New York Jets, and then they close out with back-to-back home games, San Francisco and Dallas.
God damn. Jets, 49ers, Cowboys to end?
Yeah, it's going to be fucking rough.
Their last 6 games, at Cowboys, home to the Dolphins, at the Rams, could win that one, at the Jets, home to the 49ers, home to the Cowboys. That's brutal. And if you extend that the last 8 weeks, they also play the Giants and the Seahawks.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, they're gonna win 4 games.
Hey, Washington.
They might get a grip on Denver. They'll be 2-0, and the whole world will be flipping the fuck out, and then they'll finish 3-14.
Oh man, the Denver Broncos. Who the fuck knows with that team? I have
no idea.
The more I try to figure out the Denver Broncos, the more of an enigma they become. Is Nicolas Cage a good actor?
Yes. Sometimes. That's the answer that makes me feel better. Sometimes he is. Sometimes I'm like, holy shit. And sometimes I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing in Hollywood?
Is Denver a good football team?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, bro. I have no fucking clue, bro. Yeah, so Washington Commanders, welcome to Caleb Williams sweepstake. I'm going to go ahead and take the under. No to winning the Super Bowl, no to the division, and no to the playoffs. Okay. And I do want to point out, so we should probably actually talk about the Washington Commanders, right? So running back Brian Robinson is now a full year and some change. Is it a full year?
Yeah, pretty much.
He's about to be a full year and some change removed from getting shot in the leg, which as a running back, I think is a pretty essential appendage to be back from. And then, J.D. McKissick's no longer there, so that frees up Antonio Gibson to become what the fantasy community has always wanted Antonio Gibson to become. Then Eric Bieniemy came over, right?
Yep.
Longtime offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, 2-time Super Bowl winner, 3-time Super Bowl appearing offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, who helped wield and mold Patrick Mahomes into, what is the, without a shadow of doubt, best quarterback in football currently. And, weaponized Travis Kelce in the tight end game. And it was just able to put schemes together that confused defenses, kept them on their toes, and produced game-winning drives, right? Now, I will say, he's not coming over to Patrick Mahomes. He does have Sam Howell. And I have been told that there is a little bit of a gap in skill between those two players. Just not much, but enough for it to be significant. Their wide receiver core is one of the better in the league. Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, and Terry McLaurin. And so this team does present a lot of potential. Their offensive line, I'm not exactly sold on. Their defense was good last year, not as good as we thought it was going to be. And Chase Young is on the bubble. Will he even open the season on the Commanders roster? So it's going to be very interesting. They declined the 5th-year option. Ron Rivera is a steadying force. They just sold the team. And I wonder where that comes in as well. Does selling the team lift some weight off the players and they can play more freely?
I do think there's an aspect of like relief, a lot of like there's going to be a lot of more positive energy, I think, in the building. I think we won't see actual improvements for like 2 or 3 years because it's going to take time. But yes, I do think the organization, well, the next owners could be shit owners too. Here's to hoping they aren't, because the league's better when there's good owners and there's people spending money and teams, you want competition. You don't want just the same fucking, it's not the AFC East every year where the Patriots just win, right? We want to see battles for divisions, and it's just shit when you have an organization that's always at the bottom. So hopefully Dan Snyder getting the boot and having new ownership will lead to, better competition in the NFC East.
I mean, one can certainly hope, that's for sure. So I will say that the team that it was sold to have proven themselves in other franchises and other organizations to be at least competent at a minimum. If you don't like them, they've at least proven to be competent. And I mean, there's articles out there. ESPN wrote a great piece that broke down just every blip on the radar in Dan Snyder's I don't want to say illustrious. I will use this word, in his notorious run as the owner of the Washington Redskins, now Commanders. And boy, that article is incredibly damning that he was allowed to get away with all that for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, the other owners in the league literally we're looking over every year like, get it to fucking together. Like, they had to have been so frustrated. That's also on them. They could have stepped in and done something about this sooner. So I guess they didn't want to set a bad precedent, but that man dug his own grave. Let's go ahead and get into some of the player props. Dak Prescott, over 4,000 passing yards. I'm going to go ahead and take the over on that one. Adding Brandon Cooks, I don't see how Dak Prescott playing a full season. I hope so, right? I don't see how he could possibly not throw over that. I'm going to abstain from the passing touchdowns. I think that's a great number, especially if they are going to go as a team that says they're going to run the football more. So when they get into the red zone, are they going to turn around and hand the rock off to Deuce Vaughn? Goal line back, Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, he's the goal line back. Ant-Man out there.
You know how sick it would be if Deuce Vaughn was the goal line back and their play was to just bring 2 D linemen and they just lift him and throw him over the line of scrimmage into the end zone.
I honestly think there's a rule against that because I think somebody's tried that before. You can't throw a player forward, but that would be sick if you just pick a little man up and toss him. That'd be sick.
Dude, I don't know if
I'd be like,
appreciate you calling him little man.
I'm not, dude.
I'm just messing with you, dog. I'm just saying, if someone calls you little man,
I got Napoleon syndrome. Bro. I'll square up on anybody. I'll show you we big and small at the same goddamn time, son. Don't do that.
No, I would love to. I'll probably have to look up that rule, but if not, I mean, just 2D linemen, lift, throw, just dart and do spawn into the end zone would be such a wild thing to see every week. So Daniel Jones is the very next quarterback we have on our list. 3,300 and a half passing yards. Dude, I'm abstaining on the overs for that.
So, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. The Rule 12, Section 1, Article 4 states that you cannot pull, push, or carry a runner in any direction at any time. So
I'm not pull, push, or carrying anybody. I'm throwing.
All right, dude. I'll let you and the NFL fucking figure that shit
if
out.
If I'm a coach, I'm like, you need to fix your rule book. I'm throwing him the whole season, dog. They didn't say anything about throw.
I think a throw is a push. Technically, you're pushing something forward.
Ask quarterbacks when the ball gets hit out of their hand.
Oh man! All right, now we're just gonna spiral into this whole fucking thing, and let's just get into these goddamn player props.
Daniel Jones over under 575 and a half rushing yards. I'll take the over at even money. Sure, that's going to be a lot of fun. Here's a fun bet that everyone should just take. It's plus 1,100. Jalen Hurts for MVP. I know I've recommended a few MVPs, but it's plus money, ladies and gentlemen. All your bets will be covered if one of them hits. So take a few and hope and pray that it's not Patrick Mahomes again. So 3,700 and a half passing yards out of Jalen Hurts is minus 110 both ways. He also has over under 22 and a half passing touchdowns. I will take the over on the passing touchdowns. I think they're going to be a much, much more closer game. So I think he's going to be able to eclipse that number. As far as passing yards go, I mean, Miles Sanders is gone, right? And I don't know what the hell's going on with that running back room. So give me the over on that. And this one for sure, I'm taking the under on rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
And I am going to, QB sneaks.
Now, keep in mind, they did not make that QB sneak that the Eagles do illegal. So
yeah, but how many did he have last year? 10?
He had a bunch of 4th and down conversions, and I think he had like 3 touchdowns from it.
I asked how many touchdowns he had, though.
Oh, I think it was like 3.
He only had 3 rushing touchdowns last year, Eric?
No, he had 13 total, but from that specific play.
Dang, it took so long to get to that total. So 13. He had 13 rushing touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
God damn.
I thought you were talking about from that formation. I was trying to tell you it was 3 or 4 from that formation.
No, dude. God damn.
Let me live my life, goddammit.
Well, I would love you to live your life in the world I am and just add to the question. I'll take the under on the touchdowns. 13 is a lot. 13 is a lot of rushing touchdowns. And if I think he's going to take the over on passing touchdowns, it's obviously going to take away from that. So I'll take the under on that. B. Johnson Jr.
Brian Johnson.
Who's Brian Johnson Jr.? Brian Robinson?
Robinson, there we go. That's what I meant to put.
Yo, I was looking at this like I was like, I'm pretty deep in fantasy. So for me to not know a player.
I think what happened was I was like, I want to make sure people don't think it's Bijan Robinson. So let me just change his name completely.
You create a player. You just made a running back.
Yeah, I just made one up, dude.
Oh, dude. Oh, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so Brian Robinson Jr. over under set 800.5 rushing yards. And then his over under for touchdowns is 6.5. I don't think this is going to be a very run-centered offense. Not with Eric Bieniemy coming over.
Back there,
no. Not with them. And if it is a run-centered, I think it's going to be 50-50. Gibson Robinson.
Yeah.
And so I'm not riding any of the Brian Johnson Jr. props. I'm going to go ahead and move into DeAndre Swift over under 500.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, so to give you a little perspective on why these numbers are so swayed, I don't even think Swift has ever – he might have broken 500 rushing yards once in his career. He's more of a pass-catching back, apparently. And then also all offseason, reporters have been trying to get a clear-cut answer from Nick Sirianni on what the backfield's going to look like. And he keeps giving them the same fucking answer that he's going to give them. It's whoever the fuck is hot at the time is who I'm giving the rock to.
Oh, so you mean what he did last year?
What he did last year. He's not going to change his philosophy. Like, it's not. And anybody who owns an Eagles running back, you need to understand one game you might get 15 touches and 3 touchdowns from him, but you might not see him on the field again for 3 weeks if he's not hot.
3 weeks.
So it is what it is, man. Like, it is what it is with the Eagles backfield. You have to take it as it comes, man, because that's how it is.
DeAndre Swift, that number. I just wish they would cut one running back, because then I could easily hop on this DeAndre Swift. I will say that he's only ever had 500 yards. He's had 600 in one season, but
he did that once. Okay,
he's never played a full season.
Yeah, which is why I think the Eagles have so many, because we're expecting to get like 4 or 5 games from each of them to stitch together a 17-game season.
If you could have the Eagles running back and just slot that into fantasy, you'd be set, bro. They don't have any DeAndre Swift passing props, though.
Mm-mm.
Bastards,
dude.
So I'm abstaining from them. Tony Pollard, I'm taking the under on rushing yards.
Okay.
And I'm taking the under on rushing touchdowns. I don't know, man. I haven't really bought into this Tony Pollard hype. Before I make a decision, let me see what he had. So he had 193 touches last year for 1,007 yards. Do we think they're going to give him more work?
Who's the offensive coordinator they brought in?
I forgot his name. Give me 1 second. Dallas Cowboys OC. Brian Schottenheimer. Fucking old man.
For sure he goes under. The Schottenheimers are idiots.
Also, like, does he stay healthy, right? If they give him more touches, does he stay healthy? It's a very interesting proposition. 1,050 is kind of the perfect number. I'll stay away from that. I think he has home run ability, so I'm out on Tony Pollard.
If you're not confident, just don't.
Yeah, I'm out. I'll take Saquon Barkley's rush yards. I will take that. AJ Brown's passing receiving yards. I will take that. Touchdowns. I'll take that. Brandon Cooks. See, man, this is where it gets interesting. Do I think Gallup's going to have a better year or Cooks? I'm going Cooks. Over for yards on Cooks, over for yards on Lamb. That's 775.5 and 1,100.5 respectively. I'll take the over touchdowns for CeeDee Lamb. He's not really a touchdown guy, but this year I got him. Actually, before I say that, let me double check. What's the most passing touchdowns in a season you think CeeDee Lamb had?
I'd say 13, 14.
You think he's had 14 in a season before?
I don't know. I'm taking a guess, dude. Fuck the Cowboys. But I don't know. 12. That's my guess.
Bro, you watch them twice a year, guys. Come on. Chill out. Like, you at least watch them.
All I see is green, though. I don't see
you
any other.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Bro, it's like watching a game with John Cena, bro. You just see nothing. I'm just like, what's going on?
Get out of here, bro.
Who's stopping these Eagles players?
So then whenever you guys lose, you must be extra trash if you don't see anything.
I'm very confused.
The most he's ever had was last year. He had 9.
What a pussy, dude. And people want to say he's top 5.
Did you just scoff at 9 touchdowns?
Yeah, fuck that, bro. You gotta hit me with double digits before you could even consider cracking the top 5. Fuck out of here. And I'm not even saying AJ Brown has done it. I'm just saying he hasn't. So fuck him.
What do you think AJ Brown's total? The most he's had?
13.
11.
Damn. Double digits though.
and
improving.
And Devonta?
I'd say 8 tops.
He had 7 last year.
Damn. All right.
Are you even a fan, bro?
Shut the fuck up.
Dallas Goedert over receiving touchdowns. Yes. Darren Waller, I bloviated about him way too much to not go over. Devonta, I'm staying away from. Jahan Dotson, breakout season for him. I'm taking over on both. Micah Gallup, I don't even know what's going on with you. I'm going to stick with Brandon Cooks over you. Terry McLaurin just gets it done. Give me the over on receiving yards. I'll stay away from the touchdowns. That's always impossible to keep track of. I love how you included your secondary players here for interceptions. I've gotten no other secondary props, any other divisions, and here I have 2. You couldn't give me any other quarterbacks. There's no other
reason they're in there is because I'm taking I took all 19 Eagles player props that I could. I didn't take all overs, but
get the fuck out of here, dude. Kayvon Thibodeau at 5.
That's clearly an over.
Oh my god, give me the over on that. Yeah. Josh Sweat's a bum. Give me the under. Micah Parsons is going full-time edge rusher this year. Defensive Player of the Year bid loading. I'll take Defensive Player of the Year nods, and I'll just put over on the sacks as well. That is quite a bit of props. There's a lot of exciting talent in this division. Oh, Jalen Carter, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
At plus 700? Come on,
Does he play enough snaps, though?
Yes. Yeah, he's 100%.
He's an every down player?
Yes. Did you not see his first play?
Oh my God. Because he dusted one of the worst guards in all of football?
Hey, I'm just saying he made that man look like a child out there, and that's what he's going to do week in and week out to these soft-ass O-linemen that don't play for the Eagles.
Bro, dude, please just don't be biased.
To the 303 rookies, bet money this man wins the Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I can't even get a clear answer on his playing time.
He will play 70% of the snaps.
70%.
He will play 70% of snaps.
Put this down in the sheet under our props. This is a bet between you and I. If he does not have over 70 or 70 and over, right? So if he finishes with 69, you and I are going to have a firm discussion. Okay. If he gets 70%, Defensive Rookie of the Year seems plausible. And I got to pick someone for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So yeah, I'll go ahead and take him. But if I get another 38% Jordan Davis season out of Jalen Carter, I will come into your room and fight you.
All right, bet.
Any other props that I abstain from that you want to shout out that is non-Eagle related?
Non-Eagle related. So, Kayvon Thibodeau, I know you said it, but 5.75 sacks, ride that all day, the over. He played like 8 games last year and he had over that, I believe. Terry McLaurin, I agree with you. He always gets it done. He will be a go-to receiver for whoever the rookie quarterback is. Darren Waller, over 4.5 touchdowns. Daniel Jones hasn't really had a red zone threat or a red zone guy, and he now has a tall, strong tight end. I think he's going to eat in the red zone. Goddard, I would say over the 3.5 touchdowns for sure, but definitely don't go definitely the under on yards. Just too many mouths to feed there. Saquon Barkley over on rushing yards, gonna break that easily. And then Daniel Jones over 575.5 rushing yards. I didn't realize this, but fucking Daniel Jones only had like 30 less rushing yards than Jalen Hurts last year. So definitely take the over on that again. And that's me not giving you any of the Eagles stuff, and definitely take the unders on anything related to Dak Prescott. Unless it's interceptions, then take the overs.
Yeah, I'm trying to find his rushing stats. Here we go. So he had 700 last year, right? And he had 120 attempts because there was no one to throw the ball to. Yeah. Pretty much his whole career, there's been no one to throw the ball to, if you were to think about it. Yeah. He had, in 2019, OBJ was traded already, wasn't he?
I think that was the year he got traded.
Okay. And yeah, so he had 120 rushing attempts for 708 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. I don't know if the Giants can design more runs for that, but they can be more creative.
Corrections. Last year with the Giants was 18.
Yeah, so Daniel Jones has never had a good wide receiver to throw to. Here's the thing. I think Sterling Shepard was a good wide receiver. Sterling Shepard, when he plays, is a very good wide receiver. It's always like 8 for 100 when he plays. It's freaking crazy. But he's got no knees left. So this is the first year we're going to see him with a viable weapon, which it feels like a legit viable weapon. I mean, besides Saquon Barkley, but that's a running back. So a pass catching option. I'd be curious to see how Daniel Jones does. I think Daniel Jones is going to have a little bit of a sleeper season, and a lot of people are going to be talking about, kind of shocked all year about how Daniel Jones, bro, when I watch him play football, I don't see a bad quarterback. I just see, I'm so used to watching the Saints play when the years we didn't have Olave and Michael Thomas missed every snap.
Yeah.
And Marquez Callaway was our number one option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm so used to watching that. And every time I watch that and watch the Giants, it's the same thing.
So for me, the thing is, it's a lot of the times it has to do with the franchise that you go to, the fan base. He's just not a guy that seems that he's built for New York or built to deal with New York fans, because they're the dumbest fan base in the league. And they're the most aggressive, I would say. So, I don't know. If I could see him going to another team and fighting, they're 100% the dumbest fan base in the league.
The Philadelphia Eagles are dumb as hell, bro.
Voted on, bro. We got 7th on that list, so fuck off.
Voted on by who? I didn't vote.
I don't know. It was some Instagram thing I saw, and I take that to word. That word is bond, dude.
It's some guy walking around Mall of America asking people that
Yeah, he's in Philadelphia asking who's the dumbest fan base. New York.
Oh, boy. Dumbest fan base has to be the Carolina Panthers.
Honestly, I was going to say Minnesota, because how can you root for a team that always gets your hopes up so high and just never closes the deal? You got to be a dumb fan base to root for that.
Or be a fan of blue balls.
Those are the masochists that they get tied up and their girlfriends walk all over them in high heels and shit. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know a few cats like that.
All right, you got anything else for the roomies?
Go Birds.
Yeah, disgusting. Freaking Tourette's. Anyways, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Podcast Room303. Follow our sister podcast, Revenge of the Pod, on their socials and anywhere that you get your podcasts. Speaking of, did you know Amazon now has podcasts?
Sick.
I guess we're going to have to start posting there as well. Anyways, thank you for joining us. For myself, Jermaine, for my co-host, and EPE, we'll see you next time when you come on down and step into the room.